If that image and that brand name are recognizable to you when you're on that search engine page, you are going to be more likely to click on that search result than any other one. Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the X agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips. Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 83, and today I'm coming to you live with a brand new SEO metric, and we are kind of pumped about it. You already know that we're your besties when it comes to everything from search and design, and this metric just brought it all together for us. But before I dig into that, we have a huge favor to ask of you. If you love listening to this podcast, would you take a moment right now to share it with 3 of your best business friends? It brings us so much joy to come here each week and to share our knowledge with you and to help you grow your business to new heights. We are honestly just humbled daily by the messages that we get from you guys. And we want to do exactly that with so many more amazing business owners out there. And your voice is what helps us grow. And we'd be eternally grateful if you took the time today to share this podcast with someone else. So thank you, friend. And let's get back into this episode. All right, so if you pop back to episode 69 or 76, I break down what SEO metrics actually matter from keywords index to domain authority. SEO metrics in and of itself is kind of a jargon-filled phrase. So I want to break this down because if you post an Instagram reel, what are the things that you are tracking? You're probably tracking views because Instagram has made us feel like this is the only metric that matters, which, to be honest, I don't really agree, but that is a topic for another day. So you'll probably look at views, you'll look at likes, comments, shares, saves, the follower versus non-follower view, all of those. These are all performance metrics for Instagram. SEO has performance metrics too. So when I talk about SEO metrics, that's all I'm talking about. Just metrics where you can measure your performance of what you're doing to grow on a search engine. So before we share what this new metric is, I want to talk a little bit about Moz. Moz is a helpful tool, just like Ubersuggest, SEMrush, Ahrefs, so many more that give you tips and insights in order to make your website more attractive to search engines. And in 2010, Moz created a metric called domain authority. This metric measures the potential ranking strength of a website on a search engine result page, meaning how likely is it that your page can rank on page 1. It's a widely recognized metric, and you're going to see it on almost every SEO tool when you evaluate your own website or someone else's. So why do we care about Moz? Well, they're an industry thought leader, one, so they're definitely worth listening to. And if they created this super well-known metric, domain authority, that almost every SEO guru uses and leverages, then you better bet that if they create a new one, we're going to listen. And that's exactly what Moz did. The new SEO metric is called brand authority, and we love it already. It's bringing the importance of your brand into SEO, something we've been saying since the beginning of Duo. And before we talk about this, let's talk about how search engine design has already been starting to favor our brand. So the next time you go to a search engine result page, I want you to really look at the results. You're going to see something like the favicon, which is that circle picture to the left of each result. And if you notice, it is larger than ever before. And you'll see that the website name is larger than the URL beneath it. Google wants you to see the brand on the search engine page, like really see them. If that image and that brand name are recognizable to you when you're on that search engine page, you are going to be more likely to click on that search result than any other one because you trust them. again, bringing the importance of brand trust into search. So, what is brand authority? Brand authority is a score 1 through 100, much like domain authority, and it's again developed by Moz. It measures the total strength of your brand. This metric is meant to capture people's awareness of a brand before they even begin their search. And it bears to ask the question, how recognizable is your brand? And before I go any further, I do want to clarify right now that this metric is focused on the United States and is driven right now by US data. But domain authority is something that definitely took over the world, and I don't see why this metric wouldn't eventually get there. So, back to brand authority. You can have a billion blog articles that are ranking on page 1 of Google, but if you haven't spent any time focusing on your brand strategy, building that trust and that connection with your audience, well, then that eventually is going to affect your overall search performance. And this new metric is proof of that, especially with all of these subtle moves that the search engine has been making, even in things like the design to help us see our brands even better. And this new metric isn't going to replace domain authority. They are going to coexist together. And in fact, this new metric can also help all of us branding experts out there answer that question that we always have a hard time answering, which is, what is the ROI of my investment in branding? So that is extremely neat coming from a brand. So let's talk about some tips for growing your brand authority metric. It's really simple. Get more people to talk about your brand, and for that matter, other entities of your brand. So, your course, products, podcast, branded coaching programs, custom frameworks, all of these sub brands that are related to your brand are also going to help improve your overall brand authority because that's people talking about you. It's still a part of your brand. So, I want to go through a few ideas to give you some ways in which you can get more people to talk about your brand. One being creating high quality content. This is something you are likely already doing and sharing on your preferred platform. And on that note, stop playing it safe. Stop creating content just to create content. Getting people to talk about you means breaking through the clutter. Say the things that no one else is saying, the things you believe in. Start talking about that because that's going to get people talking about your brand. I want you to engage on social media. Notice I didn't say post, I said engage. People aren't going to start talking about you unless you start talking with them. Create that community and start engaging with your community on your favorite platforms. You can focus on finding partnerships and collaborations, whether it's a newsletter swap, a podcast interview, and appearing on other people's podcasts, getting other people on your podcast, creating guest blog posting content. There's so many ways you can partner with other people in your industry, and that's a great way, again, to get people talking. You could host an online workshop or a webinar. Again, something that whether you want to support that with paid ads or not, it's another way to get your voice and your name out there. If you're a product business, you could run a campaign to generate user-generated content, which really is getting other people to use and talk about your brand online. For maybe you're giving something away, like a free product, maybe you're actually paying out a sum of money, maybe there's just some kind of swap there, but it's getting people to organically create content for you and talk about you online, which again is going to help grow your brand authority. Another example is to attend or speak at industry events. Better yet, if you really have a desire to host one yourself and that's a dream of yours, maybe start making that a process that you can bring to life. Are there any media appearances or opportunities where you could be featured in your local area? Is there a local magazine, a local news channel? There are so many local publications that are focused on local businesses and growing within their own community. And how can you be a part of that? Again, getting people to talk about your brand. And finally, something we don't think about very much, but branded collateral. It's so fun to be able to hand out branded collateral if you go to these speaking events or if you have a media appearance or you show up in your local community in some way or somehow, bringing things like stickers, shirts, hats, glasses. All of those things can be so fun to help engage people and get people talking and understanding your brand. And if you notice, none of these strategies are groundbreakingly new. I didn't give you a new marketing strategy or an idea that you've never heard of before. All of these ideas fall into the general bucket of marketing and advertising, or maybe even PR. But you might not be thinking about how these tasks can grow your brand and therefore your SEO. So now I'm asking you, are you focusing on intentionally getting people to talk about your brand with your marketing strategies? Or are you just checking a box each week to say, hey, I posted on Instagram. Hey, I wrote that blog post. Are you actually creating that content intentionally to get people to talk about you? Because that is the mindset that you need before you jump into create. So, how can I find my own brand authority number? Well, right now you can find it in Moz's domain overview tool, and we will go ahead and link that in the show notes so that you can check it out yourself. It's free. You don't need to sign up for the tool. You can just use it to measure your own URL, your competitor's URL, anyone you want. You can really just plug it in there and see what their overall brand authority is in comparison with things like their domain authority. Moz also came out with the top 500 brands, so the top 500 brand authorities. And of course, sitting at the top is Google, YouTube, Amazon, Target, and so many massive companies. In fact, I scrolled quickly, very quickly, through these top 500 brands, and I recognize almost all of them, which makes sense because this is all about getting people to recognize, understand, and talk about your brand. So, with that being said, we also need to remember that this metric was made up by humans. Much like every single metric out there, views, likes, comments, guess what? A human being made up this metric and told us to care. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just someone else telling us to care about these metrics. And these metrics need to be used as a guide to help us understand where and how we could grow our business. But they are not meant to be glorified or obsessed over. So if you take a look at your own metric and you're feeling discouraged by what your number's at, I want you to keep that in mind. It is meant to be a guide to help you grow. Do not use that to beat yourself up because your metric isn't high enough. And if anything, I want you to use this metric as a competitive comparison. Do not compare yourself to Target, to Amazon, to Apple, to YouTube. We need to compare ourselves to other people in the industry. And also, I hate those words that just came out of my mouth. We don't need to compare ourselves to anyone at the end of the day. But if you are looking at just the metrics and you need to look at something to understand, okay, where do I sit in comparison to my competitors from a metric standpoint, not from a growth or self-worth standpoint, then that is how you can do it. And I want you to really use that number to then analyze and understand how you can grow your brand in a true and authentic way. And go ahead and use these tips that we just gave you and start thinking about how you can implement marketing strategies into your business to get people to talk about you. Because the bonus of that, of having a strong brand, of having a huge base of customer trust and a foundation of people who want to talk about you, is going to help your SEO. And that is the beauty of brand and search coming together. So thank you for listening to another episode of Duo on Air, and we'll see you next week. If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.